voices bright, set your course for tales untold, entertainment pure and bold. Come aboard this journey, new stories fresh calling out to you. Diddly Pat Sim Show, every tale a treasure trove. Tune in now and set your sails, laughs and chats and wondrous tales. We ride the waves of joy and cheer. Every week we're standing here. Everyone keeps spirits high. Morning sun in every eye. Quest to daily news. Listen up, there's much to choose. Every word a gem we share. Saturday we conquer air. Positively Pat Sim Show. Every tale a treasure trove. Tune in now and set your sails. Laughs and chats and wondrous tales. We ride the waves of joy and cheer. Every week we're standing here. Everyone keeps spirits high. Morning sun in every eye. In every eye. In every Positively Pat Sim Show. Positively Pat Sim Show. Positively Pat Sim Show. Every tale a treasure trove. Tune in now and set your sails. Laughs and chats and wondrous tales. We ride the waves of joy and cheer. Every week we're standing here. Everyone keeps spirits high. Morning sun in every eye. In every eye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Positively Pat Sim Show, live on WANT and live streaming right here on YouTube. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for week 2 of our rebranding here, where we are now a pro wrestling only show, and I'm super excited about it. I'm super happy about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed our brand new opening video there. It was really fun to watch live before the show. Like, it's one thing to work on it for hours and hours and hours and hours and watch it over and over and over, but when you actually see it as part of the show, that was freaking cool. That was very, very cool. So, guys, this is going to be a fun show because I can't wait to see what happens in the live chat. I can't wait to see what happens in the comment sections later. Welcome, Universal. I want to welcome my wife, who's also on the chat here, who I think we felt that was going to be the best way for her to contribute, so she can kind of chime in when she can, because my wife, going back to the days of WWF and ECW and WCW and all that stuff, might be a little challenging. But we've got 2 guests today who are raring to go and who I'm sure are ready to be a part of the controversy that is the Mount Rushmores of WWF, which is basically early 80s till the name change in 2002, and WWE, which is everything from 2002 to today. So who knows what you're going to get from those, but we're also going to be talking about WCW, and I want to be very clear about this, guys. The WCW section, we are not taking into account the time of Jim Crocket Promotions, because that's not WCW. WCW then was a TV show. But WCW is basically the Turner years, from Ted Turner to its demise. And then you also have ECW. And again, we are taking into account that the time period of Paul Heyman and the Extreme Championship Wrestling, not Eastern Championship Wrestling, different things there. So, all right, guys, I know I've got some of the female categories as well. We'll see if our brothers in arms do. But I want to introduce, since he's on the screen first, I'll go ahead and introduce the Diamond Standard. I will introduce to you the voice of PCW and PCW Limelight, which airs today at noon Pacific time. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the one, the man who wears himself all over his body, the Doc himself, Mr. Heywood. Welcome to the show, sir.
Oh, yes. Dr. Heywood here on the Positively Pat Sims show, ready to lay knowledge on you so rich you got to refinance your house. We got some good stuff for you folks today.
Wow. The refinancing line. Solid line. And, of course, we have a frequent guest as well on the Positively Pat Sims show. He is my friend. He is one of few people that I would invite over on a regular basis just to watch movies like Godzilla vs. Kong and the marathon that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Ladies and gentlemen, he helped me hang my old television. My good friend, Ashton Harris. Welcome to the show, Ashton.
Thanks for having me back, Pat. I'm glad to be back. It's been a few weeks.
Yes.
But I'm back and I got a good list for you.
Good. I'm hoping everybody's got a good list here today, including the live chat. And so, guys, if you are watching us on YouTube, please take advantage of that live chat and tell us your Mount Rushmores as we move along here. And so what I want to do is, Ashton, I want to start with you, and I want you to pick. Which one do you want to give us first? Do you want to give us WWE, WWF, WCW, or ECW? The choice is yours.
I'm going to go with ECW.
Oh.
The reason why I want to go with ECW is I unfortunately didn't watch too much of it. And what I know of ECW is from highlights and other wrestlers who got hired on to WWF/WWE. So
right.
I'm going to go there. And so, yeah.
All right. Well, let's start with you, Ashton. What are tell us your Mount Rushmores and why for each one.
All right. So the first on the list of Mount Rushmore for ECW is Paul Heyman.
All right.
So he's not a wrestler,
right.
but he is ECW. Honestly, Paul Heyman is one of the greatest storytellers. Like he when he has a vision, he sees it through and he makes stars. He does. I was honestly introduced to him with Brock Lesnar, and then after hearing about like what he's done and all the and like the ECW invasions and whatnot, like I went back and I started paying attention to a lot of things, and then I found out some storylines that he himself was the architect for. I was like, man, this dude he's a diamond.
Yeah,
he. Yeah, man. If they get rid of him, I don't know what they're gonna do. and they've always had him. He's been around. He's helped. He's brought superstars up. Like right now, he's getting Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. You know, they're he's making them stars right now. So I loved what he did with Roman, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had to grow on me, but
Yeah.
but yeah, the things that Paul Heyman has done for ECW and how he made all those guys stars. He took what seemed like a indie show and made it rival WWF like it did. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So he's on there. Want to say Rob Van Dam.
Ooh, RVD.
Always been a yes, Rob Van Dam. But yeah, he's one of those guys where I really like high flyers and I like risk takers, and that's what he did, man. Every time he had a match, I was invested. So, Rob Van Dam definitely is on my Mount Rushmore for ECW, and then the final two spots are going to go to a tag team that just recently retired from in ring action, and that is Devon and Bubba Ray, the Dudley Boys. Um, they have one of the best uh, tag team reigns ever. They are one of the best tag teams to ever do it. Favorite move, the 3D. I know whenever Bubba did his power bomb through the table, he get that 1,000-yard stare. That was such a good time. It was always fun watching them do their thing. So again, those are some guys that I got introduced to in WWE, and then I went back and saw how they did their thing in ECW, and I was like, these guys are they're it. I like them. They need to keep going. Got to the point where I almost cosplayed as Devon with one of my buddies. So we was going to go to Dudley Boys one year for Comic Con, but we ended up not going that year. But
I could have done that with you. I look kind of like Bubba Ray back in the day.
But yeah, man. So yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore for ECW.
All right, that's an interesting start there. So you got Paul Heyman, we've got Rob Van Dam, and we've got Bubba Ray and Devon, the Dudley Boys. All right, that's a good start there. It's a good start. We'll discuss a little bit more after we get through with all of ours here. I'm interested to see now what we get with Doc with ECW. So Doc, who are your picks and why?
Well, I was in a similar spot as Ashton. I wasn't watching ECW during its heyday. I was mainly watching the Monday Night Wars, watching WWF and WCW. But when I was working at Walmart, I worked overnight nights back in my pleb days, and a lot of wrestling marks were working with me, and so I would hear about ECW and I would hear about the guys in ECW. So mine are going to be based off of kind of who sort of broke out of ECW during that time to where someone like me would hear about them and hear about what they were doing. And so the first one for me is going to be RVD. Guys were marking out about what Rob Van Dam was doing over in ECW. They were saying, "Oh man, this guy, he's got to come up to WWF, or he would be great in WCW. I want to see him wrestle this guy, and I want to see him wrestle that guy." So Rob Van Dam was one of these guys who I had been hearing about. And then when he makes his debut on WWE. It's like, oh, whoa, this guy finally made it over, and he lived up to the hype. So RVD definitely on there for me. Another guy I had heard quite a lot about. You would see him on the magazine covers. Guys would talk about him. Was the Sandman.
Mm.
He was kind of doing the Stone Cold gimmick at the same time as the Stone Cold was with the beer and drinking in the arena, but he had the kendo stick and he was coming out with barbed wire, having those great matches.
I think he came first. I think he did his shtick before Austin did.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that he did come first. But again, I'm dialed into the Monday Night War, so I know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, and I'm hearing about these guys. Oh yeah, this guy comes out and he drinks beer too, and he slaps people around with kendo sticks and does this and does that. And I'm like, wow, that guy sounds cool. And then, of course, totally bungled when he makes the crossover to WWF, and also he had a time in WCW too, I believe, as Hack, which was just not great. But man, that was part of the appeal. Was, oh man, I heard about this guy, and then seeing him watered down. You didn't get the real deal with Sandman outside of ECW, and that he was one of the things that made ECW ECW.
Yeah.
The third guy I want to put on, again, a guy I would just hear about the crazy stuff he would do, and that's the late great Sabu.
Yep.
I would hear stories of, oh man, this guy Sabu trained under the Sheik. He did this, he did that, cut himself open and sutured it back together with super glue. You're hearing these stories. I'm picking up big 26-inch CRT TVs at Walmart, hearing about this stuff, going, oh my gosh, that sounds great. I wish I had that cable channel. So Sabu, definitely number 3 for me. And then number 4, like Ashton, I got to pick Paul. The man took what essentially was an independent promotion and made it to the number 3 promotion on a national scale, elevated all of these guys, was an amazing, is still an amazing on-camera talent. Arguably one of, if not the best heel commentators to ever work, and one of the best managers to ever work. If I could do half of what Paul did with ECW with PCW, I could die very, very happy. So Paulie, definitely on the Mount Rushmore for ECW.
All right. Very, very good. Oh, I don't want to just see me. Wow, who wants to see that? I one of the things we probably could have done too is we could have added managers to that list, man. There are some. I love a good manager. I've always missed the managers, like the golden age of WWF back in the day, man. They were good. Mouth of the South, the Slicksta. Especially with the African Dream, Akeem. And, of course, my favorite, and still to this day, my favorite of all time, Bobby the Brain Heenan. And Bobby and Gorilla Monsoon will – I don't know if that combo, for me personally, will ever be beat. And I think because they were so – the chemistry between those two was so good. And there's been a lot of great combos, but yeah. All right. I want to go to the chat real quick here. Who played the crazy lady manager? Was it Vicky? She was talking about Vicky Guerrero, and yeah, she was pretty crazy. There have been a few crazy lady managers over the years, such as Luna Vachon. Sherry Martel, you could definitely put her on the list of crazies at times. But we've got my wife's picks for ECW, which is actually a pretty good list because she's going off of who she can remember and who she knows. One of them was really only in ECW for a drop in the hat, but made a huge impact and went on to become a major star. And so her first face on the Mount Rushmore of ECW is Steve Austin, who mainly got over in ECW just doing promos. I couldn't even tell you a match that he had in ECW. And then a woman who obviously goes after my heartstrings at every turn, Cactus Jack. And my favorite part about ECW for Cactus Jack was his, like, I'm sorry, Eric, take me back, Eric gimmick that he did. And he was like anti-hardcore. That was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. And then, of course, she goes into RVD, Rob Van Dam, followed by, of course, Sabu. So a good list, to be fair. Now, we'll discuss a little bit more, but, I mean, you can't really say nay on any of them. I mean, if you're talking just ECW, if he goes on and just does the ringmaster shtick, do we put Austin on a Mount Rushmore of ECW for his ECW work alone? And that I don't know about that. All right, let's get into my Mount Rushmore here. I cheated a little bit. All right, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did cheat a little bit because I put two heads on one spot. All right.
I was going to do that.
So I as well chose.
I almost did that with the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, I as well chose the Dudleys, and they get one spot because it was like you couldn't have one without the other, right?
That's fair.
They were,
right.
And man, I think what got them over for me is they had good in-ring work. Don't get me wrong, but nobody could get a crowd riled up like the Dudley Boys. I mean, you had guys they wanted to kill the Dudleys, like legit wanted to kill these guys every night. People were ready to just destroy them. And Bubba would just be like, okay, come on. Let's go. Let's do it. And it was insanity, absolute insanity. And I think one of the things for all of us, because we all mentioned, like, none of us really watched ECW very much until later. And I think a lot of that's going to be normal for most people because ECW was just hard to watch in general. They weren't nationally televised for a long time. They didn't do pay-per-view for a while. And when they did, they became pay-per-view competition for two other companies. So the majority of the people are going to buy the pay-per-views for one of the big guys. So, you know, it was tough. So most of what I knew of ECW, I was that hardcore fan, man. I had the wrestling magazines. I was always kind of keeping an eye out on things around VHSs. I would go out and grab some ECW VHS tapes back in the day just because I kept hearing about this extreme company. And nowadays they do way more extreme stuff. And I can only go so far with it, right? So there's stuff that goes way beyond what I'm comfortable watching as entertainment. But yeah, and then the more I got into it, that's when it started going away, and then it just disappeared in 2001. And so the most I knew of it then became from documentaries and things like that, which can be a little skewed because to the winner goes the ability to rewrite history a little bit. But the rise and fall of ECW is actually a pretty good and well-made documentary that's pretty honest about things. But my number two is another agreement with you guys, and that is RVD, Rob Van Dam. And Rob Van Dam, for me, is the greatest ECW superstar that never won the big title. He never won the ECW championship. And to me, that feels just wrong. Like, I get he won the ECW one when it was ECW Light in WWE, which was bad. But Rob Van Dam, I thought he deserved it. I don't like that whole like, oh, he didn't need it. He didn't need it. Well, nobody needs it. If you need it, then that's a problem. If you're a Hogan didn't need the title to be Hogan, but anyway, I thought Rob Van Dam deserved at least one title reign before the company went down. And of course, there's
in one of the interviews that Paul Heyman did that he said that he wanted Rob Van Dam to win the title.
Yes,
but the company didn't last long enough for it to come to fruition.
Right, and I think there were plans at one point. I think Rob Van Dam got hurt. He hurt his leg or something like that. But he went on this huge TV title run. I remember that, where he was just on a tear for the longest time. I added Sabu in there. He's actually my fourth because I'm holding off on my last one here because I'm shocked nobody mentioned this fourth person, and I'm shocked I didn't think to put Paul Heyman. All right, I'll be honest. I'm hearing both you guys say Paul Heyman, and I'm like, oh, come on. But I got to be fair. I got to say what I wrote here. And Sabu almost didn't make the list. And if I'd have thought of Paul Heyman, Sabu wouldn't have made the list. Sabu was personally not my overall cup of tea. You know what I mean? I thought he was he was entertaining, don't get me wrong, but I also thought he was kind of sloppy. Everything just looked, it was hard to watch for me. And this is just my personal opinion. But I can't deny the impact he had on ECW. Every time you put Sabu in with any other name, people started going nuts like it was a dream match. Sabu versus Cactus Jack. Everybody loses their minds. Sabu versus Tommy Dreamer. Sabu versus the Sandman. Sabu versus this person. Everybody went crazy. So I cannot deny the impact of Sabu. I do want to mention one more honorable mention, and I'm a little surprised. Maybe Doc would have been the one I thought might have put him on the list. But it was interchangeable for me between Sabu and this guy, and I'm talking about Terry Funk. Let's be honest, guys. Is there an ECW without Terry Funk? I think Terry Funk helped put ECW on the map with a larger audience. I mean,
absolutely he did.
Yeah, I think Terry on a lot of people's lists. I think Terry deserves to be on a Mount Rushmore, and doing these is so difficult for fans because you feel guilty about anybody you don't put on the list. I want Mount Rushmore to be 30 heads long, and I'll feel much better. But then I'll get to 30 and I'll go, oh, but what about that guy? And so my final one, my number 4, which I'm legitimately surprised has not been mentioned in the live chat, has not been mentioned by you guys, but I cannot understate how big this guy was, and there is definitely a pun intended there. He was a huge star, and he was the human suplex machine that was Taz.
Oh, wow. I forgot about Taz.
Taz was my runner-up.
Taz in ECW was the beast. If Brock Lesnar had a mini-me, Taz was it. And I don't mean in terms of skill. Taz, I thought, was actually a better technician in the ring than Brock was as a pro wrestler. But man, Taz was unstoppable. And the only mistake he ever made, which is a rare one, was he jumped to WWE. When he left for WWE, if you want to know how big Taz was, watch the 2000 Royal Rumble, where he makes his debut. He's the surprise opponent for Kurt Angle. And listen to that crowd. All right. there's a lot of guys who are names in other promotions and then go to, like let's say you were a name in WCW or Jim Crocket Promotions or TNA or whatever, and you come over to WWE. A lot of fans in WWE, let's be fair, and a lot of promotions have blinders on. They don't know what's going on outside of it. So,
Right.
So when a guy comes in, they're like, oh, who's this guy? Right? Like you can bring in Earthquake from WWE, make him the Shark in WCW, and nobody bats an eye. Like the first guy to really be able to do that and have fans know who you were was Ric Flair back in like the early 90s. Like you couldn't change who Ric Flair was, but you could take Mean Mark Callis, give him some eye makeup and make him the Undertaker, and nobody knows who the heck he is. And he is now just the Undertaker. So anyway, tangent over. But Taz was the first guy I wrote down. And again, these are, before people go crazy on us, a lot of this I mentioned to Universal in one of the comments he made on a different video we had was a lot of this is just personal preference. Like, what was the word
Criteria?
you guys? What is your criteria to put them on a Mount Rushmore? And I would have to say it's like 5% impact, 5% in-ring ability, and then 5% promos, and then 85% your own personal opinion.
Yeah, that's pretty much what mine is. That's how mine goes.
Right.
But I got to tell you, man, with Taz, you mentioning him, I'm now having flashbacks and remembering the promos leading up to him coming.
Yeah.
Like it did that. His what was it? His number was like what, the 13?
Yep.
Yeah, the 13 which would just show up. I'm like, what? Like, who is this? Like, what's going on with this? I was invested in seeing who that was.
Right.
And that was the first time that I can remember somebody coming from another promotion into WWF and them doing vignettes like that.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's just too bad Vince doesn't like smaller guys.
Yeah, no. I kind of wish that I watched Taz in ECW.
I mean, Peacock still has all that stuff. I highly recommend it. And I know, again, everybody's kind of like has different likes and tastes. Like some people are probably just up in arms that I wasn't a big Sabu. I didn't care for Sabu that much. I'm sure there's a lot of people that Taz just wasn't their cup of tea. But I'll never forget Taz versus Bam Bam Bigelow in ECW. Doc, do you remember that matchup and what happened?
No.
Okay.
I do not.
So ECW, from what I understand, is the first to do this, which is Taz is on Bam Bam's back. Bam Bam jumps back to drop Taz on the mat, and they go through the mat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you got these two guys in the image of them, Bam Bam crawling out, which means Taz is like dead in this hole there. It's ECW. They deserve so much credit. They had a lot of bad matches, a lot of bad wrestlers, but Paul Heyman knew how to hide the bad and accentuate the good. But it was his ideas, it was his storytelling that really set the bar for the likes of WCW and WWE to go, okay, let's take this and let's make it so that the mainstream can consume it, right? Because ECW obviously didn't get over with the larger audience. It was more of a niche product, but WWE and WCW could kind of sanitize it a little bit, clean it up, make it digestible for everybody. And for WCW, it worked for a time. For WWE, it worked for a much longer time. with the Attitude Era. And without ECW, I don't think we get the Attitude Era. I think WWE either can't figure out how to counter WCW or they go a different route. But I don't think they go all the way like they did with the Attitude Era without the influence of ECW. All right. That's our ECW section. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in. Let's see. I took out Funk from my list to put Cactus Jack since I remembered him more. Taz, I almost picked, but I only remember his face, not what he did or how he wrestled. Most people forget that he was anything other than a color commentator. You know, like he got over in WWE eventually, but as a color guy with Michael Cole, and then now he's over in AEW, and he's doing commentary for AEW. So yeah, any Mount Rushmore without Flair is fraudulent. He was the NWA and he was WCW. Well, we're gonna find out whose list is fraudulent and whose is legit, apparently. So, Doc, it's I want you to pick this time. So,
All right. Let's look at the WWF, the classic 80s. That was my bread and butter. So the most obvious one, I think he's going to be on everyone's WWF list. It's got to be the Hulkster. The man was the draw for 10 plus years for that company.
Mm-hmm.
Train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. Hulkamania was a cultural phenomenon. It goes without saying that for WWF, Hulk Hogan was the man. Now the other three, that's where I think we're going to get into the weeds.
Yeah.
So my number 2 pick, the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. I think he was the perfect foil to Hulk Hogan in a way that shouldn't work. Hulk Hogan, 6'7", 24-inch arms, going up against this little Scottish guy. Roddy Piper on paper should not have worked as a heel for Hulk Hogan. The baby face is supposed to draw sympathy from the audience, and how do you draw sympathy when you're a whole head and a half taller than this little scrappy Scottish a-hole? But the way he was on the mic and just the fire and intensity, my goodness, you saw him go and you're like, hey, maybe he can do it. Maybe he can break down the Hulkster, if not physically, just mentally drive this guy into the dirt with his antics.
Yeah.
So Piper was a huge draw for me as a young man. Again, guy had crossover appeal, especially going on to do movies like They Live. Great on commentary. Had great matches against people who weren't Hulk Hogan. I mean, the backlot brawl with Goldust, one of my favorite WrestleMania matches. Also, his match against Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title.
WrestleMania 8.
Amazing match, yeah. So, Piper, number 2 for me.
Okay.
Number 3, The Undertaker. I remember him debuting at Survivor Series. I was just a little kid. There's other kids in the audience crying, and I'm like, that's fair. This guy's kind of scary. He was one of the first people who was a real conceivable threat for Hulk Hogan, and one of the few who beat Hulk Hogan.
Right.
And then was able to take that character, very simple, didn't speak a lot character, and develop and evolve him over time. The Ministry of Darkness during the Attitude Era, one of my favorite runs of The Undertaker, when the guy was just pure evil. They did some over-the-top stuff for sure, but he sold it.
Hanging the boss man?
Yeah, I was like, hey, this guy might be worshiping the devil in in secret. So Undertaker number 3 for me, and then number 4, the man who really defined the Attitude Era for me, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, this guy, probably the biggest draw in history, redefined what a babyface was, kind of turned the industry on its heel, um, was able to do it. His heyday was after he broke his neck, after he jacked up his knees. So he just turns into this brawler, not any, amazing technical matches. But man, did the guy captivate an industry,
Hmm.
with his personality, with his look, with his promos. I mean, just what a talent.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's kind of I'm going to be it's going to be interesting to see what we have the same here. That's I'm really interested on this one because there with when you're talking ECW, I think you're a little limited with who you could put. Like we had a lot of similar things on ours. This is going to be interesting because you can really swap out a lot of guys, right? So I want to talk real quick, Ashton, before we get to you right here, my wife's picks, which is for WWF. It is The Undertaker, Triple H, Mick Foley, and Rowdy Roddy Piper. So a list with no Hogan. But I think it's a good list. I think Taker we'll get into my list here. But Piper, you've mentioned, and I think Mick Foley's one of those that we forget a lot of times, unfortunately, how big Foley got in the late 90s and before the WWE name took over, which is basically when Foley should have kind of stayed in the retired side. But Foley was his God signs were in the arena. Like he was over. He was big. All right, Ashton, let's do your WWF Mount Rushmore. What do you got?
All right, so my WWF Mount Rushmore. It's going to be based on. It's based on the wrestlers that I enjoyed their story with, and I had fun watching them.
All right.
There
Good criteria.
There's a lot that they did a lot for the industry. They changed up the game. They changed up how things were, and they lasted through the decades.
Yep.
But but for me, it's guys that I enjoyed watching. I loved their stories. I loved their rivalries. I had fun watching their matches, right? So
Okay.
my 4, the first one is going to be Jeff Hardy. Like I said before, I love the high flyers. I love the high risk moves.
Yeah.
And Jeff Hardy was the guy to do it every single time. You watched any of his matches, and you're like, what insane thing is he going to do next?
Yeah.
How high is he gonna jump off next? You wonder if it's like, oh my God, is he trying to kill himself, or maybe he's actually immortal? So so yeah, man, Jeff Hardy is the first guy because I started watching WWF when I was in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So it was around like 97, 98. And that's when I started watching wrestling. So anything in the 80s and early 90s, it's not something that resonates well with me. But the next one on the list is Triple H.
All right.
So yeah, man, Triple H, he was that cool biker dude that I was like, I want to do what he does. He was strong. He had DX, and he was pretty much leading the company. He had great rivalries. He was just a powerhouse. Whenever I played the like WWE 2000 on N64,
Oh,
Triple H was one of the guys that I would choose.
N64 pro wrestling games were off the chart good.
Oh yeah, THQ, man, they
Yep.
are THQ and Aki. They did some real those games were so fun.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I don't remember Triple H when he was hun- before he became Triple H, when he was
Hunter Hearst Helmsley,
he was the aristocrat character. I wasn't watching at that time.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was watching when he was Triple H, then and then with DX, and he had China as his walkout partner. Then him and Shawn Michaels were together, and then D-Generation X, and then they were the foil to the NWO. So yeah, Triple H was the guy, and he was getting away with everything. He was getting away with everything, and I'm like, these guys, these are the cool guys. This is the cool guy that I wanted to be like. The next one on the list is Stone Cold. Again, Stone Cold, his rivalries were great. I loved that he was a brawler.
Yeah. By necessity, because of his neck.
Yeah, and so like I wasn't aware, like at the time. I watched it for fun, and I didn't really keep up with it like I do now. So when he was brawling, like I thought the whole neck thing was, I thought it was a gimmick. Ignorant me back in the day, I was a child, but yeah, he's one of those guys where I was like, I don't need the technical thing. I just want to see him beat somebody up, stomp a mud hole in somebody and do what you got to do to win the match. He drank the beer, gave the beer baths to everybody, just stunned everyone he wanted to. I had so much fun watching him attack Vince McMahon everywhere. So again, that's one of the things that I can never get out of my head. Plus, there was a WrestleMania vignette where him and The Rock going for the title.
Yep.
And they used that Limp Bizkit song,
My Way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is still one of my top 3 WWF WrestleMania promo videos.
Yeah, it's number 2 for me. You know what my number 1 is? So it's from one of my least favorite overall WrestleManias, which is WrestleMania 27, and it is the Undertaker versus Triple H vignette, which features a song from The Punisher. It's just a singer and a guitar, but it is so good. And unfortunately,
I know the song you're talking about. It's "In Time" by Mark Cole.
Yeah.
So good. I know that promo. Yeah, that was awesome.
That is my favorite. The only bummer about that is when you get done, you get to the match, and if you watch the pay-per-view live, The Undertaker makes his entrance to Johnny Cash singing "Ain't No Grave." If you watch it on Peacock or wherever, it's The Undertaker's normal theme, which is fine, but I'm getting goosebumps. I wish you could see right now, hearing Johnny Cash, the chains that are going, and the Taker coming out to that. It was magic, all of it. So, sorry. Go ahead, Ashton.
All
Finished.
Right. And then number 4 going to be The Rock. The Rock. He's WWE. Honestly, there's really nothing else I can say. Like you can't look at him anywhere and call him Dwayne Johnson.
Nope.
That's out the window.
Right.
He tried to rebrand himself when he went Hollywood, but nope, you're still The Rock.
Right.
But yeah, I loved how as a baby face, you know, he just couldn't do it. And then when he went heel, it for whatever reason that's what was his bread and butter. And I loved when he, like, after he left the Nation of Domination, and he went on his own, and he was wearing the Versace shirt,
Yeah.
and his promos. I don't think anybody can do promos better than him. John Cena comes close,
Yeah.
but no one does promos better than The Rock to me. And man, I'm doing a Rolodex in my head of everything he's done, and it's just hilarious to me. You know, when he made fun of the when he had a fatal 4-way with Undertaker, Kurt Angle, and Rikishi, and he just imitated all of them. Was it Rikishi or no? It wasn't Kurt Angle. It was Stone Cold. It was Undertaker, Stone Cold, and Rikishi.
And Kane, he did Kane too, where he would.
Yeah, he did Kane once, or a few times. Honestly.
Yeah.
He had his feud with NWO. After he feuded with NWO, then he joined Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan he passed the torch. He's like, all right, you're next up, kid, and whatnot. So yeah, man, The Rock, he's on my Mount Rushmore. If you want to say my list is fraudulent because Hulk Hogan ain't on it, that's fine. Hulk Hogan wasn't WWF for me when I started watching.
And again, it's all personal. Like, it's, you know, and let's be fair. Let's be honest here. When you talk about Hogan, you can't leave out what what has happened with him since being Hogan. Now, you can't deny Hogan's impact on the business.
Right,
but
right,
you
yeah,
can
not denying that.
But you can definitely say, like, look, I acknowledge his impact on the business, but I can't, from a personal standpoint, put him on the list. Like, I have no problem with that. Like, you know, but to your point too,
none of that is the reason why he's not on my list, though.
I know. I'm just making a point because I'm sure a lot of people took him off the list for that very reason. But I like I said, I understand your point though. If you didn't watch during the Hogan era, why would you put him on it? He might actually, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on a different list that we've got, because we've still got WCW, we've still got WWE. So there are multiple chances for Hogan to show up on the list because the guy never went away and he made an impact everywhere he went. So let me give you my WWF list, and then I'm going to tell you guys Universal's little lists here because he has been posting here. But mine is Hulk Hogan did make the list. Without Hogan, my life takes a totally different trajectory. Hogan was the hero I needed when I was a kid. Not the one that I necessarily wanted, but he was the one I needed. He was the one that was put in situations where things were against him, but he overcame. Every time WrestleMania came around, Hogan overcame adversity, and he was the hero that got me into wrestling. And wrestling eventually, because of wrestling, it saved my life. Undertaker. If Hogan was the catalyst to get me into wrestling and was the hero I needed, the Undertaker was the guy that kept me coming back year after year after year. And Taker was unlike anybody else in the business. And people talk about Chris Jericho reinventing himself and all this stuff, but Taker was the guy that showed you how to do it, how to reinvent yourself, you know, whether it was a big leap from dead man to biker, which I loved, by the way. I think Biker Taker's underrated. Without Biker Taker, we don't have the last ride power bomb.
I love Biker Taker.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I always liked original Taker, so I was glad when he came back, but I was also kind of glad that he came back as kind of like a hybrid of the two. Right? Number 3 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the honest truth is during the mid-90s, I was so wrapped up in football and baseball in high school, I kind of fell out of watching WWE. And it was actually my buddies telling me about the NWO and Hogan turning heel that got me to kind of turn my head and go, well, what's going on over here? And then it was in college I got back into it. But it took me a bit to really get into the Stone Cold character. But as I kept watching Raw every Monday, the stuff with him and Vince was undeniably amazing. And yes, I'm aging myself by saying when I was in college watching Stone Cold versus McMahon, which is crazy to think that that's like almost 30 years ago. Like, that's insane to me. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, again, you can't deny the impact he had on the industry. And I'm going to speak an honest truth here. I wish the WWE would just tell the truth a lot of times about his rise, because to me, the truth of how he rose to popularity is way more impressive than the narrative of he does the Austin 316 promo and the next day he's the biggest star on the planet. That's essentially how WWE presents what happened. And it actually that's how they presented it. It took 2 years for the Austin era to begin after that. This was 96. They started growing a little bit, and then you had Austin versus Brett at WrestleMania 13 that just set the world on fire. And they did the double turn, which was beautiful. Austin starts his babyface run. Then you have the neck injury with Owen Hart at SummerSlam, and it's him not wrestling that puts him over the moon. And that's when the stunner to McMahon happens. Then you bring you do the Royal Rumble in 98. You've got Tyson coming in for WrestleMania. And everything came together organically, and that to me is a much better story than one promo, boom, huge star. Because now WWE has created this expectation that all it takes is one promo and boom, you're a big star. And we're like, no, have your big promo, but what do you do after the promo? We're going to pay attention a little bit, right? So, all right, my fourth guy, and this took me a long time. The first 3 for me were kind of no-brainers. The fourth guy was so difficult, and I'm looking at, do I put The Rock in? Do I think WWF Rock was worth being on my Mount Rushmore? Do I prefer WWE Rock over that? Is Shawn Michaels my number 4? To me, the greatest in-ring performer of all time. Does Shawn make the list? And I almost forgot, the guy that kept me invested for at least a few years before life kind of forced me out of watching, because I just, like I talked about last night, I didn't make time for wrestling. I made time for football and girls and the things you make time for in high school. And even though he's on a Crybaby Tour 2025 right now, I got to give number 4 to Bret the Hitman Hart. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret was the kind of guy in ring that could make you forget that you were watching an entertainment show. He was that good. I mean, his punches were crisp. He sold like crazy. I mean, the best seller for me was Mr. Perfect, but Bret was, you could count on Bret from top to bottom to put on a great match. And so Bret for me, and for what he did for WWF at that time when business is declining, and you can't pin that on Bret. You can't pin that on Diesel, like a lot of people like, oh, Kevin Nash, the lowest rated champion. It's WWF was the problem. right? So Brett, I think, is one of those guys that really helped keep WWE above water when they should have been sinking. And so I give number 4 to Bret the Hitman Hart. I really wish Bret would just take a breath and celebrate the good that's come from his time in professional wrestling and start to let go of the grudges he continues to hold on to right now.
He should, man.
Yeah.
So those grudges almost don't mean anything anymore. But
No.
I didn't watch many of his matches, but I do know about his matches, and he's one of those guys that I hear his name and I know how good he is.
Yep.
I know how good he is from people like you and like everybody else who talks about him. So yeah, man, he's up there, man, and it would be nice for him to let go of those grudges.
And regardless of what's happening right now, whatever happens in the future, I think if we say Paul Heyman's a candidate for the Mount Rushmore, I think we got to be honest here. I think for WWF and WWE, he may not be on our list. I don't know where you guys are with WWE. I think Vince deserves to be in that conversation. I mean,
For sure.
you can't deny that. What Vince did for the business, he changed it forever, for whether it was good or bad. But there is no WWF, there is no WWE without Vince McMahon. So I just got to give some props where props are due. Again, I don't know about everything that's going on. I don't know all this stuff. So, I don't know what the truth is, but I just got to tell it like it is. I want to go to the chat here real quick. I want to talk. Universal's giving us his lists here. For ECW, Paul Heyman, he throws in a couple of the ladies, which is good because I couldn't think of enough of them to make a Mount Rushmore. But he did Beulah McGillicuddy and Francine, the women of ECW. Well, he gave us a lot more than 4. So Sabu, RVD, Cactus Jack, and Terry Funk. Or maybe those are his 4. I don't know. But honorable mentions are Sandman, and we did not mention Raven. Raven was a very good character and performer in ECW. I think a lot of people, though, again, they kind of remember the WCW, the Flock.
Yeah.
In
I had no idea he was ECW.
Yeah. I don't think Universal's a fan of Taz. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He put in number 2 a second time, so I'm gonna read from his second one. Vince McMahon, but that's in parentheses, so I'm not sure. Bruno Sammartino, which I didn't really think of because I didn't really associate Bruno with WWF. Like our kind of category was like early 90s, so I'm kind of starting with the Hogan era, and then to 2001, Austin, Undertaker, in parentheses, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Honorable mentions, and there's going to be a lot of people disagreeing with this one, The Ultimate Warrior, but I don't think we're always considering just in-ring talent when we talk about Mount Rushmores. You kind of can't deny the impact of The Ultimate Warrior. He really grabbed my attention in 1990 when he beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. And it almost forced me to be a fan, and I'm glad I did. I still like the character. I still really like Ultimate Warrior. On another honorable mention, Macho Man Randy Savage. I actually liked Macho King.
I'm not the biggest fan of Macho Man's in-ring performance, but I do love his character so much.
Oh yeah.
So much, I know, hearing stories about other wrestlers talking about him backstage, or actually just I just go on YouTube and just rewatch his promos. And my favorite one is the cream of the crop one.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
he's
this
holding
guy
the
is
little
just
thing.
hilarious.
Yeah, he's
He
holding
is
the little
so
creamer.
hilarious.
Or the other one, one I like, he's holding like this stuffed monkey or something like that, and he goes, "I'm just gonna," and he hits the stuffed animal. He goes, "Punch you, boom, right in the mouth." It was
Coffee in the big time.
Yeah.
Cup of coffee in the big time.
Oh man, but I be honest, like I love Macho King. Like you guys remember Booker T's, King Booker.
King Booker.
Macho's very similar. Like Macho really, whether he liked the gimmick or not, man, did he put everything into that. And it was so fun with him and Sherry. Like, give me Macho and Sherry over Macho and Elizabeth every day of the week. Because Elizabeth, it was hard to cheer against Randy, even though he was despicable, because of Elizabeth. With Sherry, it was so easy. Because they were both just horrible human beings. It was so good. All right, we got two more, but let's really quickly. Who has a women's Mount Rushmore for WWF?
I do.
All right, Ashton, just give me your 4 real quick, and then we gotta.
My 4 for WWF is Chyna, Lita.
Oh, I forgot about Chyna.
Trish Stratus, and Stephanie McMahon.
Okay. All right. Doc, do you have any?
Yeah, Trish, Chyna, Mickey James, and Charlotte Flair.
Well, Charlotte's not WWF.
Oh, WWF. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, WWF. I thought we were just talking the whole thing. Okay, then Miss Elizabeth.
Okay. All
She's
right.
not a wrestler, but
No,
she's
but
a female talent.
The impact of Miss Elizabeth was pretty good. I definitely went more old school than you guys, and I thought about it quite a bit. When Trish came in, as good as Trish got, I just was not a fan of the women's division at that point. I was one of those where it was like, ugh. And it really took years for me to get over that. Like when Charlotte and Becky and all of those started coming in, I was like, okay. And I think it started actually for me with the Mae Young Classic. When I saw that first Mae Young Classic, I was like, okay, women's wrestling's legit. And
I was happy about the Mae Young Classic because I did like the women wrestlers.
Yeah.
That weren't just eye candy.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, here's just more eye candy. And then, I saw when Lita wrestled, I was like, oh, okay, she's dope. I love her. She's female Jeff Hardy for me.
Right.
Chyna,
there you go.
And then Chyna, I was like, oh, she's a powerhouse. She became an Intercontinental Champion, and then Trish actually had wrestling talent. So I was like, okay, I like these. And then, yeah, but like most of the other women to me, they were just eye candy. I'm like, all right.
Think back in the day. So when you were younger and you heard that Lita was with Matt Hardy, anybody else think she was with the wrong Hardy?
I mean, I was like, what? She's with that one?
I'm like, they look similar, they move similar, their in-ring stuff is similar. Like they were made for each other. And then but then she goes with the brother, then cheats on him with Edge, and I'm like, what is happening here? My women's WWF. So Miss Elizabeth is on my list. I can't leave off my favorite, so I'm going to wait on that one. But Alundra Blaze, very similar to Bret Hart. I think Alundra works in any time period, but she was in WWE in a time when there wasn't a lot going on, and she literally carried the division by herself. And she was one of the few that could do it. I give credit, again, where credit is due. I've never been a big fan, but Sable was big. And we're talking like stone cold big. right? I should have put China because I would much prefer to watch China than Sable. But Sable, go back and watch the crowd reactions. They were for two completely different reasons. But watch the crowd reactions for Sable. Off the chart. Huge. But number 4, my favorite in terms of women performers in WWE, still to this day, and it's because I don't think there's been a woman that's been able to match her intensity, her mic skills, and she was a great in-ring performer, and that is the sensational Sherry. Sherry Martel was my all-time favorite. Her stuff with Shawn Michaels was so good. Go back and watch SummerSlam from 1992, where it's Shawn versus Rick Martel, and they're not allowed to punch each other in the face because Sherry thinks they're both too good looking for it. And when it all starts, she starts to pretend to faint over and over. It's hilarious. Her character work was off the chart good. All right. We've got WWE, the WWE era, and WCW. My wife's sitting right over here. My dear, which one should we do next? I'll do the last one, but which one? WCW and WWE. WWE. We're going to close with WCW. Look at that.
Didn't see that coming.
I did. Who did? Anything can happen on live shows. It's incredible. All right. WWE. So we're gonna start with my wife's list, and she picked. So my wife, a part of the show without being on mic. I just have to scroll up here to find it because we got quite a bit going on in the chat here. My wife has a very good yet very interesting WCW Mount Rushmore. We have Ricky Steamboat, which kind of works for me. I would still kind of put Ricky more in that Jim Crockett era, but it works.
I thought we were doing WWE.
Oh, yeah, WWE. Why did I scroll to WCW? My bad. WWE. Cody Rhodes. So definitely went more modern WWE. My wife kind of cut out everything before because she's only a more recent fan. So WWE, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio. And I think you can.
I like Dominic.
I think you can
really
make
do.
a legit argument that Dominic is one of the biggest stars in all of WWE.
Absolutely is. Absolutely.
Oh, my wife put Y. Let me go scroll down here for Y. Dominic Mysterio is a one-time occurrence where he made the list, even though he annoys me. Anyone who can annoy me to a point where I loathe them deserves to be on the list. Everyone hates him because he's that good. It's not like Doc, where sorry, I forgot you were. I forgot you were.
Who hates me? Aside from that rat fink Zach Reeb.
I thought it was all the plebes. Because you call them plebes.
I mean, they should know that they're common folk. They're on food stamps.
It's kind of like, what did Bobby call everybody?
The humanoids.
The humanoids. I love that. That was so
Bobby
good.
had the humanoids. I have the plebeians.
That's so funny. All right, but I mean, if you look at the modern WWE, that's a strong list. I think I like to switch them out, but I think Rhea's another one. It's just she's so popular. You could put her on any Mount Rushmore. But yeah, if you're going modern, I think it's also tough to keep Roman off that list. Roman, I mean, his run as the champ for 3+ years was unprecedented in the modern era. I never thought in my lifetime I would see a champ hold the title for more than a year again. And even that, I thought.
I think Brock Lesnar was the only one to do that, and that was because he really didn't show up.
Right? Yeah. He defended it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. But let's go back to Doc. And Doc, I want to hear your WWE Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, going from 2002 to the current day, I'm going to pick people who have the staying power, who've lasted the test of time. I know there's a lot of new guys out there that are really amazing and have a big following. But will they have a big following 10 years from now, 15 years from now? That's a question to be asked. So first off for me is The Rock, for the WWE era. He had that amazing match with Hulk Hogan in 2002. And he keeps coming back, keeps making an impact, for good or for ill. I kind of wish he would have had more to do as the final boss.
Ugh.
And I hope we get to see that character again, because it's a great character. Just do something with it, please. But you can't underestimate or understate the impact The Rock had on WWE, continues to still have on the wrestling business. So The Rock on my Mount Rushmore. Number two, I think he did his best work in the Ruthless Aggression era. And this is saying something for this performer, because you said he is the best all around in ring performer, and I have to agree with that. Shawn Michaels. His return match in 2002. You know, by this time I'm a grown man. I know wrestling is predetermined, and these guys are trying to protect each other. But the way they built up this match around Shawn Michaels' surgically repaired back and how he had been out, I legit feared for this guy's health and safety during that match. And just Shawn kept delivering the goods afterwards, time after. Even a match where he's clowning around because the guy opposite does not want to do business and he's completely overselling.
I wonder who that was.
It's still a good match. It still entertains
Oh,
me.
yeah.
So I mean,
Hogan.
Shawn Michaels, put him on Mount Rushmore. I mean, I could have easily put him on the WWF Mount Rushmore,
Right.
but I didn't want to double up. So Shawn Michaels easily slides into WWE just because his work in the Ruthless Aggression era, I think, superior to anything he did on the Rockers or anything he did against Brett or Razor. Just amazing matches.
Plus, he kicks Stan.
Yeah. The DX run, not as good as the original DX run, but
No.
still, I enjoyed it. Number three on Mount Rushmore for me is going to be the phenomenal AJ Styles. I stopped watching wrestling after Shawn Michaels retired. Like, the only people left in WWE for me was Undertaker, and he was working part-time. That was really it. Those were the only people who captured my attention at the time. Was not a huge John Cena fan when he turned babyface. So when I came back, because I heard the Undertaker was going to retire, so I wanted to watch this guy's last match. Really disappointing against Roman Reigns. Thankfully, he came back again. But AJ, I saw AJ at that WrestleMania, and I remember him from his early days in WCW. I remember seeing him a little bit in TNA, the little bit I caught. And so I was like, well, okay, he's not a kid anymore. Let's see what this guy has. And he blew my socks off.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of everything I loved about Shawn Michaels, about pro wrestling. And he kept me in, and then he gave the Undertaker his true retirement match at the WrestleMania in lockdown, that Boneyard Brawl, that cinematic match, and
36.
and that was great. and only a amazing performer like AJ Styles combined with the Undertaker could pull that match off and make it extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
Arguably the most entertaining match of that whole WrestleMania, since it was all in lockdown. You can't hear the
Yeah.
crowd. So yeah. And then my fourth one gonna be Eddie Guerrero. The late great Eddie Guerrero, just the impact that he had during the Ruthless Aggression era. I was just such a huge fan of him and his in-ring work. Just an amazing performer. His personal story. Eddie goes on Mount Rushmore easily for me.
All right. That's a good list. Very good list. All right. I'm going to go next, and then we'll close off with Ashton for WWE. So, number one, I mean, this is in no particular order, but I'm with you. The Rock does make my WWE list. Did not make my WWF list. And it's the big reason I prefer The Rock and his heel runs during the WWE era. And namely, I'm talking the hilarious Hollywood Rock. And this is Rock at his overselling best as well in the ring. Loved it. Rock versus Goldberg, Rock versus Austin at 19. But, I mean, the concerts, the Rock concerts he would put on were epic. And, of course,
I was at the one in Sacramento.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
Oh,
and
man.
The way he manipulated the crowd, because 1 minute we are laughing our asses off at him, then we are booing him, and then Austin comes in and we are just amazing.
Oh, so good.
That's a masterclass in working the crowd right there.
Yep. And then, of course, I thought the final boss was absolute genius. I absolutely love the final boss. I'm with you, though. After the Cena turn, after the Cena heel turn, it just disappeared. And it was like, okay, it's WrestleMania 41. The Rock for sure is going to show up here, right? Oh, that's Travis Scott. Because, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, it was like, no, what do we do? And then now it's like almost like, oh, it's just, we're just done. We're not doing anything anymore. Like, none of it matters. Like, Cena's heel turn was just kind of swept under the rug and everything. But when we had Final Boss Rock, oh, it was I mean, when I say that finishing the story would have been great if it was just Cody and Roman. But adding in the final boss to that took it to a level where I was just like on fire with the wrestling business in a way that I hadn't been in a long time. I've always been a big fan, never stopped watching and all that stuff. But to say that I hadn't been overly excited about a WrestleMania in a while would be kind of an understatement. There was the last time I got super excited about a match at or anything at WrestleMania was 26. When the main event was The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, The Streak versus The Career. After that, I kind of like with you, like I was there, but I wasn't as invested. When the final boss kicked in for WrestleMania 40, I was like, I am here for this, and I'm peeled to my not just your TV screen, but you had to watch social media. Because The Rock was cutting like 30-minute promos on Instagram. It was incredible. Number two, again, this is personal, but The Undertaker. I mean, The Undertaker, even in the WWE era, was a major draw. And there were some WrestleManias, let's be real, that without Taker would have been pretty lackluster. I'm looking at you, WrestleMania 27. Undertaker versus Triple H is the only thing that I even will rewatch on WrestleMania 27. I mean, that's a WrestleMania that has Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. John Cena versus
I remember that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
John Cena in the main event versus The Miz, in where The Miz gets concussed just a couple of minutes in, and it's just a train wreck from there on out. I mean, it's not great. But Undertaker, he gives himself a harder time than I think any of us do. Taker's kind of like a bad movie at his worst, where it's like, even if he's not on 100%, I can find plenty to enjoy about it. I just have to kind of sometimes get over the fact that he might have had a hard time getting around, But number 3, Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. I thought his WWE career was more impressive than his WWF career. I thought his in-ring work was actually better, but I also think he had some better talent to work with. And that's no offense, but I think that Shawn was saddled with a lot of the Vince McMahon big men that maybe weren't on top of their game. By the time Shawn got to Vader, Vader wasn't Vader anymore. He did get a good Mankind version of Mick Foley and stuff. But, man, I'll never forget the Raw match against Shelton Benjamin that has the super kick out of nowhere that was amazing. His WrestleMania match. He got a good WrestleMania match out of Vince. That wasn't just moments and storytelling like Hogan versus Vince. Shawn got some great matches out of Triple H. Great, one of the all-timers against Kurt Angle, and Kurt could have been on this list as well, but Shawn definitely gets up there. And number 4, even though I grew tired of the character for a while, just like a lot of us, but I am a fan, and I appreciate everything that he's given to the business, is John Cena. Super Cena was too much for me. You give a guy a DDT on, you roll back the padding, give him a DDT on the concrete, that should be the end of the match. Shouldn't kick out of anything. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Undertaker. You don't kick out of that. Cena did. And he was always, it was too much of the Super Cena. But at the end of the day, I don't know if there's anybody apart from Vince who was more dedicated to the WWE than John Cena. John, I think if he could be a WWE superstar for his entire life, kind of like Taker, he would. But everybody kind of comes to that moment where it's like, if I can't give you what I think you deserve to see as a fan, it's time for me to step away. It took Taker a while to get that one match he wanted that he felt he could ride off into the sunset on. But I hope Cena does have his last match in December. I don't want this to be a false finish. And I hope that he can stay retired, which a lot of people can't, because he deserves it. The guy gave everything to this business. And one of the comments he made at one point was why he doesn't have children, which is he was too busy raising all of our children. It's a great line because he really did.
Yeah, he did.
And so that's my WWE list. Again, I feel so bad because there's so many names I could put on there. And I didn't include any current guys because I have a hard time putting current wrestlers on a list like this when they haven't gotten to that end point in their career. Like, it's hard for, and I like CM Punk. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big CM Punk fan. I have a hard time putting him on the list kind of because there's a giant gap in there where he could have been doing quite a lot of really good stuff, but the bad blood was too much. When he did come back, it was to AEW. We all know how that came to an end.
Yeah, he had way too much ego at one point, and that kind of like would mess him up. To like that's part of what like why I'm just gonna say that he's not on my Mount Rushmore, but it's really because of that ego that he had, and it's like I'm better than all of you, and it's like, dude, like, come on, work with people, come on now.
Yeah. And from everything I've heard and seen so far, it seems like Punk in WWE since Survivor Series when he came back is a different Punk. That he has been a team player, and I love they were showing a behind the scenes thing, which a lot of people don't like, but I mean, get over it. You know it's a show. But they were showing a behind the scenes thing where all the people from the Elimination Chamber are kind of talking through the match. And the ending of the match was essentially Punk laying it out there. And you're seeing Seth Rollins, you're seeing John Cena and everything like that. And it's really cool to see that kind of thing. I don't look at it as exposing the business. Guess what, guys? The business has already been exposed.
Right.
I like that kind of stuff. It's why I like WWE over UFC. I like the fact that these guys are professionals, that they, behind the scenes, they work together. Even if they're not friends, they work together. When they're in the ring, they work together. They take care of each other. They make sure they can get home to their families, that they can feed their families. I prefer my violence staged and choreographed over
controlled violence.
Right.
Gotta love it.
Right. I love that. But, because I see it like a movie. And I love behind the scenes. Sometimes I like the behind the scenes of the movie better than the movie. So, all right, that's it for WWE. We are perfectly timing all of this
What
out.
are mine?
That's right. I thought I was last. I'm used to going last. Darn it, there went the
maybe
perfect
last
timing
this time.
thing. Thanks, Ashton. Thanks for reminding me you have a list. All right, your WWE list, my friend. Take it away.
All right, so my WWE list is vastly different than you guys' own because I knew who was going to be on. I was like, I am not about to have all of us have the same list.
All right.
Plus, like we said earlier, there's so many guys that can be on there, and my Mount Rushmore is tailored to each of these wrestlers are aspects that I wish more wrestlers had.
Okay.
So the first one is John Cena.
Okay.
John Cena to me is that he's that I don't there's not enough face champions that last.
Right.
They always end up turning heel. And the one thing I'm afraid for Cody is he's going to turn heel. And I don't want him to turn heel, but everyone's talking about like, oh, his character is stale. He's a good guy. He's boring, whatever. Like, no, we need the hero characters. Right. We need them.
Yeah.
And John Cena, for the longest time, was that hero character. Even when in his Dr. Thugonomics era, he was still a face. I mean, like he did some heelish stuff, but he was more of a vigilante rather than a hero or heel.
Yeah.
You're right. When you were talking about his Super Cena era, yeah, it was a little too much. I will admit that, but besides The Rock, man, there was nobody better on the mic.
Oh yeah.
Nobody was better on the mic besides The Rock than John Cena. And when he came back, he made everyone up their game. Like they had no choice. You saw how he insulted Roman Reigns, and like he was like, damn it, I can't do nothing. I can't say nothing right now.
The Rock's promo on his wrist when he called The Rock out for that.
Oh yeah.
I don't care how mad The Rock got. I thought that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, most definitely. The next person is Randy Orton. And Randy Orton, I love his evolution. Pun intended.
My shoulder is at 37% recovered. That was my favorite.
But yeah, I love Randy Orton's evolution from just the crazy. I'm better than everybody because it's in my blood type thing, and then he was like, I'm just I'm a psycho. I'm just gonna take everybody out because I can. And now it's like he's what John Cena was, where he's a good guy, he's strong, you know what he can do, but he's putting over talent. Like he wants other talent to be good. He wants to like, hey, I'm putting you over, make something of it.
Right.
You know, so Randy Orton he's doing what he can to elevate other guys, and I really love that about him. You know, his evolution as a wrestler, as a talent, has there's not many that I can say has done it like he has.
True.
Except for this guy, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns' evolution as a talent, that was amazing.
There it is.
He was the enforcer for the Shield, and then he went out on his own. The big dog, you know, it's his yard. He needed some work on the mic, and John Cena had to show him, hey, you ain't got it yet. But like I said before, Paul Heyman, he knew how to mold him, and he knew how to get the best out of Roman Reigns, and that's exactly what we got out of Roman. You know, there was a time where people were like, "Oh man, we're tired of Roman Reigns," and it's like, "Okay, you're tired of him? What? Okay, sure, you say that now." And then he comes back, and everybody's just cheering for him, loving him. They want him back. Even when he went back to being a face. It's like, or no, even when he's a heel, people cheer for him and love him. You know, and that's kind of like how Dominic Mysterio is right now. He's a heel. You're supposed to hate him, but people love him. But that's how Roman became that.
Yeah.
Roman became, you're supposed to hate me, but I know you all love me. You know, so his tribal chief thing it's man, there's not much else I can say about him, but he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
And this last guy, no one's going to expect it, but this last guy, he's on my Mount Rushmore because he's legitimately me, and that is Xavier Woods.
There it is.
Xavier Woods. He is me. He's a nerd. He loves what he does. He has fun doing what he does, right? He took Big E and Kofi, made the team, and everyone thought it was going to fail. And it did not. It went 10 years before they unofficially broke up. And that the New Day is one of those teams that I was hoping would never turn on each other.
Right.
Because every tag team turns on each other. And there's very few tag teams where I'm like, look, man, just do not turn on each other to break up, to put somebody on their singles run. You know, and you can tell that because of Xavier's passion for the business, everything that he wanted to do, he's a smart man. You know, he elevated these guys and he was integral in Kofi becoming a champ. You know, I'm almost positive he's one of the reasons why Big E became WWE champ. You know, and while he has less wrestling time than Kofi and Big E, he still pulls off some amazing stuff. And then, you know, because of him and making the New Day, you wouldn't have the Usos. Usos will not be who they are today. The tag team division was going down, or was pretty stagnant. And then because of Xavier's idea for the New Day, the tag team division started to rise again.
Right.
And I'm hoping that, you know, before, you know, their time was up and he's like officially retired, you know, but I'm hoping that that they'll let him go along with some ideas that he may have to help the tag team division again. But yeah, also, I met him a few times,
Yep.
and I have this belt.
Yep.
It's up, down, down championship belt. And again, he's me. He's a gamer. He loves cosplaying. He does all this stuff, and he incorporates all of that into his characters. He incorporates all that into their gear. And yeah, man, Xavier Woods, he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore. So
All right, very cool. All right, guys. Really quickly, we're just gonna say really quick. We'll probably do another Mount Rushmore show at another time where we really can jump into the women's side of things. But WWE women, Ashton, who do you got as your Mount Rushmore of women from WWE?
I got Bianca Belair, Naomi, Bailey, Rhea Ripley.
That's a good one. All right, Doc.
Charlotte, Rhea, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair.
All right. I have the same three from Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley. But my number 4, we've heard from the WWF side on one of yours, and that is Stephanie McMahon. I liked Stephanie's WWE work. And I thought she's meant a lot to the business, kind of like in the same way Paul Heyman did. I thought Steph behind the scenes was very important, especially with everything that happened with Vince. And Stephanie came in and kind of took over for a little bit. And I just think that her presence there as a McMahon, as one that's not overly controversial like Vince's, is a very welcome thing for WWE. So I'm a Steph fan. I really like what she's done for WWE. All right, so let's get to the final Mount Rushmore here, and that is WCW. Again, the criteria for this was the Ted Turner years. And before I get into my 4 guys, again, remember, this is not official. This is our own opinions here. And I'm going to say right now, Ric Flair is not on my list. All right? And here's why. Because to me, Ric Flair was Jim Crocket Promotions. It was like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. Number 3, you could put in Harley Race. All right? Ric Flair was that. When Ted Turner came in, it's very well known that Flair's confidence and everything went down. And so did his work in the ring. So did his everything. And then he came to WWE, got a lot of that back, and then went back to WCW. But I never saw the same Flair from the Jim Crocket Promotions days. And I thought Flair became very kind of formulaic in his layout of his matches. But that's just me. Again, I was never a big Flair guy because I grew up, Hogan was the man. Hogan was my hero. And it was always Hogan versus Flair in your dream matchups, right? And so you had when I was a kid, you had to pick one. And I went with say your prayers and take your vitamins over limousine riding, jet flying for some reason. So, all right. But my Mount Rushmore of WCW, the franchise, I'm going to start with number 1, the guy that never left and probably could have and probably had every opportunity to, and that would be Sting. One of the greatest reinventions of all time, going from the Surfer Sting, the blonde hair and the face paint, to the Crow Sting. And the only thing I'll say about Sting that I was a little disappointed as is I always wished he'd have just been straight WCW from beginning to end. I was a little bummed that he actually joined the NWO Wolfpack at one point. I just thought if there was a guy that should never have joined either faction, it should have been Sting. But the guy that actually never did join the NWO is my number 2, and he was the first People's Champ, and he was the only guy that made me want to look over, outside of Hogan, by the way, that made me want to look over at WCW and go, what is happening over there? Because of my college buddy who'd never shut up about him. And that, of course, is the guy that gave me the program that helped me save my life. That's DDP. DDP was a loyal WCW guy, put up with some of the best stuff that WCW had to offer, and David Arquette. So, Jim Ross says it really well. I think he says he's like the best overperformer or something like that, like of all time. Like, he should not have been a big deal. He should not have been one of the biggest stars in the company getting started as late as he did, but he did. He made it to the top of the mountain. All right, number 3, making his second appearance on my list today, but this time I named him Hollywood Hulk Hogan. The catalyst for everything in WCW. I mean, Eric, you could say Eric Bischoff as well, but is the NWO as impactful without Hollywood Hulk Hogan turning heel? WCW started building its momentum when Hogan came over and signed with them, and then the birth of Nitro. And Hogan was that snowball that started the ball rolling for WCW, and Hollywood was what put it over the top. Now, not by himself. I never think anybody does that by themselves. But Hollywood Hogan, man, that was a big deal. And number 4, as much as I don't really kind of like the dude, again, I'm just giving credit where credit is due. The dude was over. He was the biggest thing in pro wrestling for a time. And, again, was one of those guys that brought a lot of eyeballs to WCW. And I'm talking about, as Brett would say, Bill Goldberg. Again, I'm not a big fan of Bill. I'm not a big fan of Goldberg. And his interviews after his final match kind of solidified that for me. He was never a great in-ring worker. I'm talking about his WCW days where he was over as all get out, the Goldberg chants, all that stuff, the merch going off the shelves. But, yeah, when you start whining and moaning and complaining because you thought you deserved a better send-off, stop it. All right, that's my 4. Let's go to Ashton. Let's go to you, and give me your top 4 WCW guys.
Well, we have 3 of the same ones.
All right.
Yeah, man. Sting was the man for me. You know, so yeah, he's number 1. He's number 1 on my Mount Rushmore. I really loved how he was the vigilante, and he was the superhero presence for that WCW needed.
Oh yeah, big time.
I loved it so much. I was a huge fan of the Crow as it was, and then it's like I'm like, what? He's here. So yeah, Sting was always top guy for me. DDP. I mean, I loved watching his matches. DDP, from what you were talking about, like how he, you know, the DDPY and like him as a person is another reason why I think he's has to beat Mount Rushmore WCW. For a while, he was the face of WCW for a while. Yeah, Goldberg had his 100 and whatever something streak, but that didn't matter. DDP was there. Like, Goldberg, you're good, but DDP, the people love DDP.
He gave Goldberg his best match in WCW. That people didn't get to see.
I think even in that match, Goldberg knocked himself out.
Yeah, yeah.
He was able to still get him to finish the match.
Yeah, there's a common thread with Goldberg.
Mm-hmm. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, number 3 for me.
Oh, he
yeah.
did. He got on your list.
Yeah, because that's what WCW is where I knew Hogan from.
Right.
Like I knew he was WWF before, but when he came in and he was Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania was running wild, and then the heel turn, I was like, what? Like, ain't he supposed to be the good guy? Like, what the heck's going on? You know,
Yep.
so his run as a heel, and it just kept and it kept going, and it pushed the NWO further and further. And I'm like, yeah, the NWO and WCW wouldn't be what it was without Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And then the last on my list is one half of Harlem Heat, Booker T.
Booker.
Yeah, man, Booker T. I love that guy, and favorite match was the one where him and Sting worked together, and he dressed as Sting. He did the Stinger splash and everything like that. You know, that's one of my favorites.
Booker's a funny dude.
Booker T. He's a character, and I love it. I mean, he still is. So, I wanted to. He's one of the guys where I like I could be that. I could be Booker T. I could be that guy, you know. So yeah, Booker T's he's on my Mount Rushmore for WCW.
Well, GI Bro.
I remember GI Bro. I had the comic book.
They made a comic book of GI Bro.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
Oh my Lord!
I've got the first issue also. I've got it signed by the man himself.
Oh no! I remember like WWE did that for a little. Like there was an Undertaker comic. I remember the Ultimate Warrior had a comic, and like those characters make it. I have to find this GI Bro. Like it's got to be just. I mean, it's a WCW thing. So it's got to be just bad. Oh man, I love Booker T.
No, actually, the comic had nothing to do with WCW.
Oh, it did.
It's modern. I think it's modern. I think it's something he put out independently,
Oh.
probably like in the last 10 years, I would say, because he was promoting it as pretty new when I saw him in 2018 at a local convention.
Oh, okay.
But
Then it
there
might
wa-
be worth
there-
reading.
There was something that happened though, where GI Bro was a name of another character, and that's the reason. That's the part of the reason why he had to stop using the name. It was copyrighted.
Oh, got it.
So
Got it. Yeah, okay. So that makes more sense. And that makes it something I actually want to see for a good reason as opposed to okay.
I want to see how bad it is.
Yeah, because if this was like we're talking that was what, around 2000-ish, some kind of like 1999, 2000 WCW, like I don't think I want to see what they produced for that. Although I will say some of their stuff they did was so bad I love it. Like shoot. Now I can't remember the movie and I love it to death. It's with the one with David Arquette, Ready to Rumble.
Oh
Yes.
I mean, it is so bad, but it's so good. John Cena's in the background. I don't know if you guys know, in the gym when they're talking to Goldberg, you look in the background, there's this bleach blonde dude. It's John Cena. It's legit John Cena in his first appearance in a major motion picture. Well, I don't know if you call it a major motion picture.
motion picture somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's just an MP. All right, Doc, your Mount Rushmore of WCW before we sign off for the day.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let me try and make this real quick. This guy also had a recent comic book a couple of years put out about him. He was a secret agent in this comic, and when you hear who I say this, you're gonna laugh. But the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
What?
I went to a comic convention a couple of years ago, and there was a comic where Ric Flair is the secret agent, kind of like James Bond. But Rick, very much for me as a non WCW early WCW guy, he's who I identify WCW with. So when the NWO happened and I started watching Ric Flair was the guy identified with that company, and still do. So I got to put Rick in there. Second, again, Sting. This guy is the WCW guy. Great in-ring performer. Managed to reinvent himself, like do a complete 180 from his character as like the surfer guy to the Crow Sting, and the Crow Sting was over as heck. With he like just stood in the rafters for a year and didn't say anything. He would come out every now and again, swing a bat, but he didn't really do anything, and he was still over and selling tons of merch.
Yep.
That's how great Sting was back in the Monday Night War days. Number 3 for me, again, this guy, WCW all the way, one of the, I consider the homegrown talents. The five-time WCW champion. Loved Booker T. Loved him in Harlem Heat. Loved him as a singles competitor. Great on the mic, dynamic in the ring. And again, one of these stalwart WCW guys that I think could have jumped ship to WWF at any time. He was just that good. And then the last guy, I honestly think if he doesn't exist, we don't have the Monday Night Wars. We don't have the NWO. We don't even have WCW as we know it. It's Diamond Dallas Page. As much as a fan of his in-ring work I was, the more I got to know him and the more I got to know about what he was doing behind the scenes during this time. Oh, Eric Bischoff only gets a job as commentator because Diamond Dallas Page helps him out. If Eric Bischoff doesn't get that commentary job, he doesn't become executive producer of Monday Night Nitro. That's how he got his foot in the door, because Diamond Dallas Page was nice to him. Diamond Dallas Page doesn't help Scott Hall rebrand from the Magnum PI looking guy to Razor Ramon, the pre-Razor Ramon with the diamond stud. I don't think he had the NWO. If he doesn't call up Scott and say, hey, we've got guaranteed contracts and we're working half-time over here, Scott doesn't jump ship. We don't have the Monday Night Wars. You do It's a Wonderful Life with Diamond Dallas Page, you have a very, very different pro wrestling landscape today. In the 90s, who knows what it would look like if not for the Monday Night Wars, if not for Diamond Dallas Page doing that stuff behind the scenes and then being amazing in the ring. So Diamond Dallas Page, last guy on that Mount Rushmore for me.
All right, very good. All right, let's go into the chat here, and I'm going to go back. I got to scroll back a little ways because I started my wife's WCW by mistake. But her picks were Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Rey Mysterio, which Rey got over big in WCW. The only thing I hated about his run there was they did take his mask off. And I always thought that was a slap in the face to that kind of lucha history. Randy Savage, interesting choice. But Randy did have a pretty good run over in WCW. He's the guy that – I think he's the guy that got Dallas over in the ring. And then Dallas took it from there. And she also picked Booker T. Kind of a surprising pick from my wife. But my wife went with Booker T, and I'm proud of her for it. There's certain times my wife will throw names out there, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Booker T is one of those names where I'm like, I'm so proud of you, honey. All right, going back down here to kind of fill in real quick before we close out. Universal, our buddy, our good friend Universal said, gave us his picks here. WWE, John Cena, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns. It's a strong list. For the WWF women, he picked Rockin' Robin. Interesting. Sensational Sherry. That's mine. Alundra Blaze and Wendy Richter. And you really can't take away the importance of Wendy Richter from WrestleMania 1. And manager would be Miss Elizabeth. And for the WWE women, we've got Trish Stratus, Charlotte Flair, Bayley. So the first person to put Bayley on the list, and Becky Lynch. Very interested in where Bayley's going right now, I will say. Like, she's doing what I thought they were going to do with R-Truth.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't even know what's going on with R-Truth.
They brought him back to what he was, to his funny gimmick.
Yeah, like I feel like they brought him back because of the fans wanted him.
Yep.
And then when they brought him back as what he was, I honestly think there was a lot of intrigue there, but I think people just love funny Truth. Like, cuz he's legit the funniest guy on that entire roster without trying. He just is.
Yeah, I think they just didn't, because they really actually fired him. They really didn't have anything to do with it for him. So it's like, he's back. Let's try something. You know what? Just go back to doing what you was doing.
Here's what they need to do. They need to give Truth his own show. You guys remember Swerved on the WWE Network? He was the best thing about that show. It's a prank show. He was hilarious. Him and Mark Henry were both really, really funny. I think, give both those guys their own prank show, and I'm all in. I think that's gold right there, because they can both riff and they can improv and be extremely funny. Whereas most of these wrestlers, I think the only other guy that I could probably give that to from WWE would have been Santino. But from WCW, Universal gives Ric Flair, Sting, Hogan, and Goldberg. And he says the Ric Flair comic book, codename Ric Flair, Magic 8-Ball #1.
That's the one.
Codename Ric Flair. That's hilarious to me. But so apparently, according to the guy before, the only genuine Mount Rushmores, the only ones that are legitimate, are Universals and Doc's, because Ashton and I did not feature Ric Flair.
I'm legitimate, baby.
Oh man, this was a lot of fun, guys. I'm really enjoying this. See, the thing that I love about what we're doing here is, we're not just sitting here talking about what's going on currently, which we'll do when we do our preview shows and stuff like that. But I like the history of wrestling. I like going back and revisiting the things that I grew up on. I also like, and we're going to do this on certain shows as well, I like learning things I didn't know before, which made the WWE Network the greatest thing ever for me, because it gave me the chance to watch world-class championship wrestling. And that's why when Doc introduced me to PCW Limelight, I'm like, oh, it's the rebirth of world-class championship wrestling. I can watch the AWA, where Paul Heyman and DDP got their start and where they honed their craft, where Eric Bischoff got his start in the sales department of AWA. You can relive Georgia Championship Wrestling, Jim Crocket Promotions, WCW, ECW. It's all there. And I went from being a WWE fan to a pro wrestling fan. And I have to thank, strangely enough, the WWE for that. Because it may have sucked at the time that WWE was swallowing up all of these smaller promotions and independent promotions. But because they did that, I now have access to all of it in one place. And it's magic for me. And I love pro wrestling, and I will always love pro wrestling. It will always hold a great place in my heart, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful for that. And that's why we're trying to think a little outside of the box instead of just talking about, like I said, the current stuff. I like revisiting pro wrestling from the past, present, future, because we're going to talk about all of it here on the show every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific, and in Ashton's time, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time. But, all right, before we close out, we're going to let our special guests do their plugs. Ashton, I want to start with you. What do you got? Is there anything on the horizon coming up that we need to be prepped for and ready for? What do you got for us?
Right now, I'm working on my job outside. So right now, that's my main focus. So, unfortunately, I did have to put my YouTube channel on pause. It's only on pause. It's not out the picture yet, but it's only on pause.
All right. But when it comes out, guys, you got to make sure you check it out, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be off the chart good, because Ashton is still a gamer, and I tried, and something has changed in my life. I don't know what I don't know what happened. I used to be able to sit. That's very true. I live a much more active lifestyle, but I'm also, like, when I have time, I'm working on the show, this show, Warriors Unleashed, Honest Reviews. I do my workouts and everything, and then I have family time, and my kids can play video games all day long. I can't. Like, my son got me, the last game that anybody bought me was my son bought me Mortal Kombat 1, and we got all the DLCs for it, and I think I played it for like an hour. That was the last time I played it. And it's fun. I used to be able to play an entire season of football in one sitting, which is, I mean, it's only 10 games, but think about it. It takes like an hour to play a game. I would do it. Yeah. I would do it in a Saturday. Boom, an entire season done. I could get through an entire season of baseball, which is 162 games, in a week. Ooh. And Ashton was on those teams. Now I'll play one game and be like, okay, I'll come back to that another time. Like, it's weird. But I mean, you got to do what you love to do, though, man. If you can make a living out of it too, doing what you love, that's the cool part.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
All right. Speaking of doing what you love, Doc, the Diamond Standard, the man of PCW, tell us all about Limelight and what you got coming up.
Oh boy, we got one of the best episodes of Limelight. Actually, the last week, this week, and next week's are some of the best episodes we've ever done.
Woo!
Today, you get a triple threat match for the Prospects Championship with three of our hottest young talents. The Red Bull, Dickie Dakin, versus All-Pro Ethan Reno versus the champion, the Arsonist. With a special stipulation, owner Zach Reeb has told the Arsonist if any of the dudes interfere, the Arsonist will be stripped of his title. So the champ at a bit of a disadvantage in this triple threat match. And then a match 26 years in the making. These two men started out in the business together, have wrestled each other, have wrestled with each other. It's a friendship of frenemies. Zach Primetime Reeb versus wrestling personified Rick Luxury one last time. This is going to be they will never wrestle each other again. If you wanted to see two wrestlers who have come up in the business together and know each other so well finish out a feud, this is the one. Next week, of course, we've got the big one. Bad News Blakesley, the PCW champion, 6'10", 500 pounds, taking on, you saw him last week, the Nightmare Sin for the PCW Championship. Ooh. That's going to be a big one. And then, of course, this Thursday, check your CBS local listings. Make sure you watch The Price is Right. Going to be the best episode of The Price is Right ever. Why? I can't say, but you will definitely want to check it out.
So I feel like there's a missed opportunity with your Arsonist thing, because I thought you were going a different direction when you're like, if the Arsonists interfere, they will. I thought you were going to go the pun route. and you were going to be like, the arsonist would be fired.
Yeah. No,
That's the first
no,
thing that popped into my head.
No, if the dudes interfere, he's going to get stripped of his title, though. Which, triple threat match champion has the disadvantage there. He could not be pinned and still lose.
I wonder how the arsonist would do in a Inferno match.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I don't think we have the budget to pull off an Inferno match.
Does it? No, just
That
light
would be fire though.
Just light the ring. Just light the whole ring on fire.
Yeah, just light the ring on fire, or do dumpster fire match on the next PCW Limelight.
I've already seen Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. I don't need to see another dumpster fire match. Oh, snap. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for us here on the Positively Pat Sims Show. Don't forget to check us out every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. We're a little over today, but that's cool because we had a lot of fun today on the show. And don't forget, you can pick up your Positively Pat Sims merch like this T-shirt, this hat, at positivelypatsims.printful.me. And I was able to work it out, Doc, where our buddy Sin, who won the little WrestleMania tournament that we had last week, he will be receiving his all-new Positively Pat Sims hat within the next few days. So I'm super excited that we were able to make that happen for him. And I got him. I don't know if he's watching right now, but he's not getting this one. He is getting the camouflage version,
Ooh.
which I've never seen it in person. I want to see how that one looks. I think it's going to be cool, and I think Sin should wear it on PCW Limelight.
Hey, he very may well. We do a lot of backstage stuff, so
Right,
you
it's
might
good
see
stuff.
it. You might just see it.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here on the Positively Pat Sims Show. I really appreciate you guys joining us. It was a great live chat. All of you guys did fantastic. Universal has given us some really nice little topics there for future shows. I want to thank my good, dear, close personal friend, Ashton Harris, for jumping on the program today. I want to thank the voice of PCW, the Diamond Standard, Doc Heywood, for jumping on and being a part of the show today. And I want to thank, once again, each and every one of you. We're here for you. We have a lot of fun. And please, anytime you jump in and join us, jump into that live chat. Let us know you're here. We'd love to interact with you here on the Positively Pat Sims Show. So, from all of us to all of you, take it easy. And if it's easy, do what the shirt says and take it twice. So long, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next time on WANT and YouTube.
The lights are dim, but the room still hums with the echoes of laughter